From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Good Saturday morning and welcome back. I'm Max Darrow. Here's what's ahead on our Saturday showcase. We begin this 7 o'clock hour taking a look at various new White House policies and their impact here at home. In a moment, we'll tour a so-called bonded warehouse in Fremont to see the tariff-free zones taking off. Plus, volatility has led to a dramatic spike in gold prices. Ryan Yamamoto will introduce us to one collector coining his own phrase for it. But first, we head to Napa, and a veiled threat in the vineyards. Suji Nam has more on a resource center providing relief to immigrants.
When Miriam Puentes walks through the parallel rows of grapevines, she sees a dream, her father's dream.
We are immigrants from Guanajuato, Mexico. We moved here in the 80s.
She remembers her childhood helping her family who were farmers.
I remember that supervisors would call that ICE was around, so everybody would run to hide. So I lived that.
Puentes sees that same fear in the vineyards and homes of immigrant workers in wine country.
They don't want to drive. The kids aren't wanting to go to school because they're scared that they won't see their parents again.
Immigrants make up 73% of Napa County's agricultural industry, according to a 2012 report by the Migration Policy Institute. The report also says about 1/3 of those immigrants are undocumented.
Buenos días, Puertas Abiertas.
Puertas Abiertas Community Resource Center in Napa is getting a big boost to help the community.
Our responsibility is educating our community to know that they have rights. Whatever their immigration status is, they have rights.
Esmeralda Gill, the nonprofit's interim head, says they've recently received a major donation. A new building valued at over $3 million. The new site is in a more visible location and more accessible by public transportation.
Be the space where we're able to hold cultural classes and our workshops, like we have labor rights workshops.
She adds they've recently been handing out more pamphlets and Know Your Rights cards to educate the community.
Here at Puertas Abiertas, we're all kids of immigrants or immigrants ourselves, and we've lived a lot of these experiences, which is what makes our center very important.
Puentes knows a little help can go a long way. She saw it firsthand with her father.
It was an opportunity that his boss gave him. He told him, Honorio, if you learn to speak English, I have a job for you in the production room. So that was motivation enough for my father.
Puentes took that motivation and built Onrama Cellars in Sonoma, producing nearly 3,000 cases of wine yearly. A success story that's bigger than her.
It's not just the story of my father, it's the story of everybody that comes here looking for an opportunity.
Puentes says she wants to be that safe space for hardworking immigrants, just like her father.
A little help really does go a long way. Now to Fremont and Kenny Choi, who shows us that sometimes some global trade turmoil can actually be a good thing for business.
Francisco Garcia is the founder of Lynx Logistics, a high-tech security warehouse in Fremont. This fenced-off section, a U.S. Customs and Border Protection bonded warehouse where goods can be stored without paying tariffs until they're taken out, is a hot commodity.
The demand is so high, we just keep expanding.
As containers from around the world make their way to ports along the West Coast and eventually trucked to warehouses, Garcia is in a position to expand its already existing bonded warehouse.
By this time next week, this will be filled to the rim, and we're increasing this by 200% capacity.
Forklift operators are quickly moving inventory to make more space for the expansion. Lynx says it has been approved by U.S. Customs to triple its bonded space to 15,000 square feet.
We're installing new racks. We're gonna quadruple stack U.S. Customs bonded pallets.
Importers typically use bonded warehouses to bring in goods from one country before shipping them to another country without paying tariffs. But the current trade environment is changing the way these spaces are now being used. Shane Salazar is CEO of Lynx Logistics.
This is allowing companies to stretch their cash in terms of not paying for the entire shipment at entry to U.S. Customs and paying as they touch it from down to just a carton or a pallet.
Industrial property broker Danny Ream of JLL, a commercial real estate and investment management company, says inquiries for bonded spaces went from 1 to 2 calls in a typical 30-day period to well over 100 after Trump's so-called Liberation Day tariff announcement.
Everybody across the supply chain is trying to get their inventory here into the United States, into the West Coast market, and shield them from these tariffs in the anticipation that in the next 30 to 90 days, this will get figured out.
Until that happens, Garcia and his team are hard at work.
It's busy times on the phone and over email. It's little sleep lately.
It's an unanticipated business opportunity for an expanding company like his.
From Fort Knox to solid gold, those tariffs have set off a modern-day gold rush, with the price of 1 ounce now up over $3,400 this week. Ryan Yamamoto has this story.
Seth Chandler,
this is real gold,
is not afraid to admit
we have here an American eagle.
He has a bit of gold fever.
And then we have a Canadian maple leaf. So these are really cool.
And since 1959, his store, Witter Coin, has been in the business of buying and selling precious metals.
And once you own it, you can put it in the safe deposit box, hide it under your mattress, your shoe, whatever you want, but you have it, you own it.
And recently, with the price of gold reaching record highs, that has kept Chandler busy seeing his own mini gold rush of people inside his store in San Francisco, a city that in 1849 was the center of the gold universe.
Let's be very, very clear. There would be no San Francisco without the gold rush. The gold rush was instrumental in the creation of San Francisco, in fact, the American West.
And speaking about the San Francisco gold rush, they're still mining for nuggets just like these. This was found about 5 years ago, worth about $10,000.
I mean, gold has been around forever.
Joe Halpern, Chief Investment Officer of Fountainhead, says the recent interest in gold can be tied to the volatility in the stock market since the start of the Trump administration.
It's been going up for a while now, for over the last year, but you really saw a lift after Liberation Day on April 2nd. At first, gold moved down with the whole market, but then it increased dramatically. And gold is really a flight to safety. And so when people are nervous, they tend to sell out of those risky assets like an Apple or a Microsoft, and they go into Treasury or gold.
Meanwhile, for Chandler,
because these are really rare,
his golden rule is not to give out investment advice, but he understands people's fascination with physical gold.
When you have a 1 ounce gold coin in your hand, it feels very heavy. It feels like real money.
Real currency that some will always believe is good as gold.
Inland parts of the Bay Area saw their warmest day so far in 2025. Yesterday, not going to be quite that warm today. Yesterday's temperatures got up into the upper 80s and low 90s, a good 15-ish degrees above what's normal for this time of year. Now, it's still going to be warm today. Even San Francisco and Oakland are going to be about 5 to 10 degrees above normal. But the warmest spots, once again, approaching 90 degrees. But just those very warmest locations far east of the Oakland Hills. On the coast, only around 60. We'll have 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s for the second day in a row. Bigger changes for Mother's Day. Details on that part of the forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Coming up, did you ever see a dream walking? Well, now you can. A look inside Bing Crosby's $40 million estate, now on sale. Stay with us. Welcome back. Let's turn to the rising cost of housing, from Millionaire's Row to rent control. In a moment, Itai Hod will tell us how a new startup is working to make rent less of a task and more of a chore. But first, we have a look inside one of the Bay Area's most expensive homes now on the market. Here's Brian Hackney with the Bing Crosby estate.
The next voice you hear has probably been heard by more people than the voice of any other person in history.
He recorded the best-selling single in history.
Wasn't it Ba 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 Boo?
Ba 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 Boo. I'll have to show her my scrapbook.
He sold 500 million records.
Or would you like to swing on a star?
And 1 billion movie tickets.
I drink to your health. Nah, let's drink to your wealth.
Bing had plenty of bling by 1965 and a modest little place in the Bay Area.
Well, we just have the house in Hillsborough, which is near San Francisco.
Now, 60 years after Bing Crosby moved in, the house is on the market for the first time. All 11 bedrooms, all 5 acres, all for $40 million.
Jen?
Hello. Welcome to the Bing Crosby estate.
Thank you.
So here you are in the foyer.
Estate agent Jen Gilson will be our guide.
We have the living room, the library, Bing's office, 11 bedrooms, 10 full bathrooms, 5 half bathrooms. But this is one of my favorite rooms. This is the living room.
What would the family use this room for?
For entertaining, for parties, they would gather around the piano.
And as for the piano,
Now you has Messrs. Kyle and Shaw.
it's the one used in the movie High Society.
They lived here, they had their gatherings here, just an incredible piece of history. Bing bought the home in 1965.
You have any idea why he bought it then?
His motivation at the time was to buy this home for his wife, Catherine.
Bing met Texas beauty queen Catherine Grant when she was 19. He was 49. And 3 years later, he proposed by postcard. That very card is on display upstairs.
I have a treat for you.
Upstairs?
The upstairs, Bing's office. We have the primary bedroom. His hats are still in his closet.
These are the actual hats he
These
wore.
are the actual hats that he wore.
The nearby master bedroom still features the Crosby touch.
This monogram C for Crosby in the rug, still in great condition.
And Bing's office next door.
Oh my God, I love this.
We're in for a treat. So this was Bing's office, his desk, chair. Take a look at the records, the awards, the golf awards.
And what about that?
Best Acting Award for 1944.
Where is his Oscar?
I can't tell you that. That is top secret information.
Darn it. But Jen did reveal another house secret.
Let me show you this. See the lawn out here?
Yeah.
Guess what famous animal resided on this property?
Tell me.
Seabiscuit.
The racehorse?
The racehorse, yes. His owner was Charles Howard, who was the second owner of this property. Charles and Bing shared a passion for horses.
Yeah. Nothing like his passion.
Well, it's another day.
For Minute Maid.
Ah, and here it comes, the Minute Maid orange juice.
Some of those famous 60s commercials were shot right here.
Catherine Crosby's most favorite rooms in the estate. Take a look at the walls, the curvedness in the walls, in the windows, which really allows great sunlight in.
From the hand-painted roses to the crystal chandelier.
Everything is in perfect condition.
What a house. Why, it's colossal. Let me hear that note again.
And while we couldn't get to everything... Did he actually plan this chess set?
He absolutely did.
I did find that Oscar. And maybe you found your next home.
And as long as you can meet that payment, why, you can't lose.
Brian looked quite at home in Bing Crosby's estate. Maybe there's a bid coming there. We'll check in with him. Is that your house out of your league? Well, join the club and maybe a new business trying to take a big chunk out of your rent. Let's get over to Itai Hot.
When most students have called it a day, Nanik Tagore is just getting started. A shooting guard for the Dominican University basketball team. He's got range, control, and a shot that rarely misses. But when it came time to find housing in the Bay Area, let's just say he was out of his league.
San Rafael is one of the most expensive places to live, so I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to live on my own.
That's when he stumbled on a startup called Joey, a platform that pairs students with homeowners who need a little help around the house. Nanik now pays about $1,700 a month for a room in Marin County. But $500 of that he works off with chores, cleaning windows, taking out the trash, sorting the mail, and yes, making lunch.
Did you even know how to cook?
The basics.
The people he lives with can use the help. Paige Miller has early-stage dementia. Her husband, Robert, runs a company and works long hours.
My worry actually was Paige. Would she feel comfortable having somebody else live in the house?
It gives me back my freedom, and he's great to have around, and he laughs at my jokes.
With about 60% of U.S. homes having at least one spare bedroom, the new housing frontier may already be built and gaining momentum.
It just didn't make sense to me why we couldn't have something similar to au pairs for older adults.
Joey founder and CEO Allison Donnelly says Nanak is the first student to match up, but more applications are already being processed.
What we can do at Joey Co. is create more bedroom inventory for these students.
So here's my room.
As for Nanak, he's found more than just a place to stay.
It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like a chore to lend a helping hand.
Because sometimes the most important plays don't happen on the court.
Here's the salad.
They happen in real life.
They're colorful.
When no one's keeping score.
Are these peas any good?
Coming up after the break, she's the first head coach of the WNBA's newest team, but also the first Asian American head coach in the league ever. We'll introduce you to the groundbreaking leader of the Golden State Valkyries next. Stay with us.
Starting off with very little fog. Even along the coast, it's not going to last long as we head through the first few hours of this morning. But your coastal temperatures aren't going to warm up a whole lot as we head through the rest of today. Let's take a look at today's forecast high temperatures, which are only going to climb up to the low to mid 60s along the coast, which isn't bad for the middle of May, but warmer temperatures as you get farther away from the water. Even San Francisco, downtown, getting up to around 70 degrees. So it's going to be a big difference from the coastal side of San Francisco to the bay side. Mid 70s for Oakland, some of the warmer temperatures in the North Bay getting up into the upper 80s, but a lot of 70s sprinkled in. The warmest spots east of the Oakland Hills, up into the mid 80s for Concord and Livermore, around 90 degrees for Fairfield, Antioch, and Brentwood. Those will be some of the hot spots on the map. Low 80s down the peninsula in Redwood City, close to 80 degrees in Fremont, and into the 80s for most of the Santa Clara Valley. If you like the above normal temperatures, savor it today because we do have some big changes kicking in as we hit the second half of the weekend tomorrow. Let's take a look at part of the reason why, and that is the winds. They're going to be noticeable this afternoon. It's still an onshore breeze. That's why the coast isn't warming up a whole lot, but stronger winds kick in earlier tomorrow and last throughout the rest of the day. Some 30+ mile-an-hour gusts, especially closer to the coast, and that's going to help to push that cooler marine air farther inland. But there's also a storm system passing by that's going to help to usher in just a generally cooler air mass that's also going to deliver a chance of showers to the Bay Area for the beginning of next week. Take a look at the temperature drop. Livermore goes from the mid 80s today to below 70 for high temperature tomorrow to only into the mid 60s for highs on Monday. More of a late March or April feel to the atmosphere, but it doesn't take long to bounce back to near or even above normal temperatures as we hit midweek and head into next weekend. So let's take a look at that chance of showers. It's going to be approaching us by late tomorrow, but holds off until well after midnight, really the pre-sunrise hours of Saturday or Monday morning will bring us the best chance of those scattered showers, and they are going to be scattered. It's not a guarantee of rain for everybody, but it's the best chance that we're likely going to see for the rest of the spring. Should be tapering off by Monday afternoon, but we can't rule out the possibility of a couple of lingering sprinkles even in the pre-sunrise hours of Tuesday morning. But Tuesday itself does look dry. Only a few hundredths of an inch of rain to maybe a little over a tenth of an inch of rain on the high side of things. It's not a lot, but considering average daily rainfall in the month of May is essentially zero, this is something that we're going to keep an eye on as we head through the rest of this weekend. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast, and we'll start at the coast, where you're not going to see a lot of up and down to our daily temperatures over the course of the next 7 days. You'll notice fluctuating amounts of sunshine. That'll make it feel a little bit warmer, but only 4 degrees separating the coolest and warmest days over the course of the next 7 days. A little more variation bayside. Temperatures are going to reach up into the mid-70s today on an average basis, but then low to mid-60s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday before we bounce back up to pretty much normal temperatures by Wednesday and Thursday. And farther inland, you have the wildest ride in store on the temperature roller coaster. After another day well into the 80s today, you're going to be a good 20 degrees cooler, maybe even more than that in some spots by Monday, with temperatures, again, not taking long to bounce back to near normal by the middle of next week.
Up next, taking the phrase body of work to a whole new level. We'll introduce you to a few people taking skin in the game, quite literally. Stay with us.
Youngwon Lee is picking up a new skill to promote Dokei beer. creating social media content showing what life is like as a small business owner. The son of Korean immigrants is building a different kind of craft beer inspired by his heritage.
Early stage, I was having the same question, like Tokyo Beer, is that a craft beer brand? Is that an Asian American brand? But I came to a realization, it's actually like me.
His brand continues to evolve.
It will stay in the tank for about 2 to 3 weeks.
2 years ago, we visited Doke Beer's first brewery and tap room when it opened in Oakland. But nationwide, the small craft beer industry is experiencing a decline.
I'm creating a product that's just like me and trying to fight through and having this American dream and showcase it.
Fighting through the challenges of downtown vacancies, shifts in alcohol consumption, and market saturation is not an easy one. He had to close the tap room late last year.
It's going to be a difficult time, but when you have a goal where you want to get to, that really gives me more energy and more like driving force to get there.
In 2024, craft beer production across the country fell by 4% to 23.1 million barrels, the steepest drop in the industry's history outside of the pandemic, marking the third consecutive year of negative growth.
It's declining, 2%, 3%, 5% year over year. It's a very slow decline. It's not growing like it used to.
Tyler Yarborough is a craft beer distributor. He monitors trends and sales for his company San Francisco Naturals. Despite the industry's downturn, he believes a small craft beer company that can distinguish itself from the rest will thrive.
At the same time, there's a lot of niche room for small craft beer distributors and small craft beers to do a better job working with their customers, the bars, the restaurants, the stores.
That's one of the reasons why Lee entered a UPS social media competition, showing what life is like for small businesses. It's a chance to promote his brand.
This is a big opportunity where we get to expose ourselves to a lot of audiences that we've never met with.
He's hoping that could lead to more distribution among stores and restaurants. Willing to feature something different, Asian and Korean flavored inspired craft beers.
You're proud to represent who you are and your identity, and that's a special moment.
That blend of flavors and heritage from cultures far and near is how Lee sees Doke beer.
Inland parts of the Bay Area saw their warmest day so far in 2025. Yesterday, not going to be quite that warm today. Yesterday's temperatures got up into the upper 80s and low 90s, a good 15-ish degrees above what's normal for this time of year. Now, it's still going to be warm today. Even San Francisco and Oakland are going to be about 5 to 10 degrees above normal. But the warmest spots, once again, approaching 90 degrees. But just those very warmest locations far east of the Oakland Hills. On the coast, only around 60. We'll have 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s for the second day in a row. Bigger changes for Mother's Day. Details on that part of the forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Also, after the break, a new startup on the grounds of Berkeley, getting some buzz. How one student is hoping to turn out of the blue into something more predictable. Stay with us. We turn now to rapid response and two initiatives here in the Bay Area turning drama into dispatch. In a moment, Kevin Coe will take us to Berkeley to meet the founder behind Code Blue. But first to Santa Clara, where Veronica Macias shows us a team in transit asking for trust.
We got a call that this is...
These women together make up a trusted team, trained to respond to stressful situations when emotions are high and overwhelming. They're dispatched to all levels of calls, from a nervous breakdown to helping share information and community resources. Lifting the dark cloud, Elise Malcolm says, starts with human connection.
In providing that empathy, we're able to show people that the light is still there, even though it might not be visible, and that we can navigate back towards it together.
The Trust Mobile Response Team was formed in Santa Clara County from a community's call to action to help prevent low-level behavioral issues from escalating into more drastic situations. It's an alternative to police involvement for those seeking help.
A lot of law enforcement officers utilize trust frequently. They activate us to come out and provide support and care within the scope of behavioral health because they are aware themselves that they are there to address crime and imminent threat. And when it comes to somebody that might be anxious or depressed or overwhelmed, that's not necessarily a call for law enforcement. So we are not just a resource for the community, but also for our fellow first responders.
A Trust Mobile response team is made up of a crisis intervention specialist, a first aid responder, and a peer support specialist, which is someone who can relate to a trauma situation through their own life experience. Encampments in the area can be hot zones for calls, but Trust serves people from all walks of life.
Just not to unhoused individuals. We go to families, regular people on the street that you see walking next to you every day. I mean, it's everyone. It's moms, it's dads, it's grandparents, it's aunts, uncles. It's everyone.
Understandable. We do have some resources that can help support you.
Each incoming call is evaluated. Information is taken down and a series of questions are asked about each situation. And while not every call may feel like they've helped someone turn a corner, they'll always leave knowing they've built a bridge to help someone on a new path.
Because sometimes in our own minds we don't think that it maybe wasn't as successful as we would have liked it to have been. And then that's when the team is able to talk about like things that they can do either next time or what we can do when we're following up with the client.
And the number of calls are growing. From March to August of 2024, Trust responded to over 2,100 calls, with more than half requiring direct in-person intervention.
Being able to be there and help the community has been very rewarding, and makes us, want to come to work every day and love what we do. So,
Especially we all live here too. A community in which you live, it's like we're all community members here to support one another. It's like you're really not alone.
That interaction that our team has with individuals in the community, that's where it starts. That's where the healing starts and the trust starts as a whole. And it's working. It's really working.
Building bridges, one interaction at a time. To Berkeley now, where one student is hoping to turn scares into signals when it comes to her family's health. Here's Kevin Coe with Code Blue.
For Ajmita Kumar, college has been about discovering the world and herself.
I'm very introverted. This isn't something, that comes naturally. This is the product of 2 years of really, really working at it and becoming, a representative of my vision and my idea.
That idea started with her dad, who told Kumar about her grandfather's history of strokes.
He couldn't walk, he couldn't talk, he couldn't even remember his own family members. So I grew up knowing that strokes were a very dangerous part of my family history. But in 2021, when half my dad's face started drooping, he didn't go to the hospital either.
Her dad was okay, but Kumar was shaken up. The health scare happened while she was studying electrical engineering and computer science at Berkeley. She wondered, how could she help her dad, living in Southern California, if he were to show symptoms of stroke again?
It occurred to us, we could use our skills as programmers to actually solve that problem.
That's how she and her friend Erica thought of and created Code Blue AI. Cameras and microphones would detect signs of stroke, calling 911 when needed. This shows how it would be used in a Zoom call with a doctor.
It can be used in telehealth conferencing, but yeah, the idea is that people who are very high risk for stroke should be able to access this through their suite of devices.
That means patients could add the technology on all their devices with a camera or microphone. Code Blue AI would analyze speech and facial images every 30 seconds, monitoring for slurring or drooping. Patients do opt in, but they could be opening up privacy concerns they never thought about, according to Brandy Noneke, the founding director of the Citrus Policy Lab based in UC Berkeley.
That can come up later where you didn't necessarily opt into the use of certain biometric data for certain purposes, but that's more of the extreme case. So I think it's great. As long as people are opting in and they know what data is being collected, stored, and how it's used, then it's all above board.
In response to data privacy concerns, Kumar says the data is deleted as soon as the analysis is done.
Our goal is not to be like, an Apple and a Google and collect your private health information. Our goal is just to make sure you're okay, right? Because we know what it's like.
Code Blue is being tested in a 20-patient study at UCSF. After more studies with more patients are complete, Kumar hopes it'll be ready by the summer of 2026.
Coming up, the luckiest man in the world returns to the beaches of Normandy. We'll introduce you to Papa Jake in just a moment. £40,000 of seeds and a new beginning after the California wildfires. Here's Marley Ginter with this week's Project Earth on the future forest.
Growing future forests.
We're not here to override nature, but we're here to support it.
These tiny seedlings will soon be used to replace trees burned during California's devastating wildfires.
This is incredibly important. If we don't reforest after a wildfire has gone through an area, we risk permanent forest loss.
This nursery is part of CAL FIRE's Reforestation Center in Davis, where they grow row after row of trees.
It's like ponderosa pine, Jeffrey pine, incense cedar, coast redwood, Douglas fir.
The process starts out in established forests where workers collect pine cones.
This is what the seed looks like.
They're then brought back to Davis to be harvested.
We'll dump all the cones into this hopper here.
The baby trees grow for a year and are eventually boxed up and replanted in burn scars across the state.
We've got approximately 1.8 million acres that needs reforestation from these devastating fires that we've experienced in the last 5 to 10 years.
The facility also houses California's Seed Vault, a storage area kept at a frigid 0 degrees Fahrenheit, with 40,000 pounds of seeds that can be used to regrow native species lost during catastrophic events.
This box here is of Douglas fir.
Right now, CAL FIRE's nursery produces 250,000 trees each year, and they're getting ready to expand 4 times bigger.
Even increasing to 1 million is still only a fraction of the overall need.
It's California's ongoing effort to recover from devastating fires and protect the state's forest for future generations.
Starting off with very little fog. Even along the coast, it's not going to last long as we head through the first few hours of this morning. But your coastal temperatures aren't going to warm up a whole lot as we head through the rest of today. Let's take a look at today's forecast high temperatures, which are only going to climb up to the low to mid 60s along the coast, which isn't bad for the middle of May, but warmer temperatures as you get farther away from the water. Even San Francisco, downtown, getting up to around 70 degrees. So it's going to be a big difference from the coastal side of San Francisco to the bay side. Mid 70s for Oakland, some of the warmer temperatures in the North Bay getting up into the upper 80s, but a lot of 70s sprinkled in. The warmest spots east of the Oakland Hills, up into the mid 80s for Concord and Livermore, around 90 degrees for Fairfield, Antioch, and Brentwood. Those will be some of the hot spots on the map. Low 80s down the peninsula in Redwood City, close to 80 degrees in Fremont, and into the 80s for most of the Santa Clara Valley. If you like the above normal temperatures, savor it today because we do have some big changes kicking in as we hit the second half of the weekend tomorrow. Let's take a look at part of the reason why, and that is the winds. They're going to be noticeable this afternoon. It's still an onshore breeze. That's why the coast isn't warming up a whole lot, but stronger winds kick in earlier tomorrow and last throughout the rest of the day. Some 30-plus mile-an-hour gusts, especially closer to the coast, and that's going to help to push that cooler marine air farther inland. But there's also a storm system passing by that's going to help to usher in just a generally cooler air mass that's also going to deliver a chance of showers to the Bay Area for the beginning of next week. Take a look at the temperature drop. Livermore goes from the mid-80s today to below 70 for high temperature tomorrow to only into the mid-60s for highs on Monday. More of a late March or April feel to the atmosphere, but it doesn't take long to bounce back to near or even above normal temperatures as we hit midweek and head into next weekend. So let's take a look at that chance of showers. It's going to be approaching us by late tomorrow, but holds off until well after midnight, really the pre-sunrise hours of Saturday or Monday morning will bring us the best chance of those scattered showers. And they are going to be scattered. It's not a guarantee of rain for everybody, but it's the best chance that we're likely going to see for the rest of the spring. Should be tapering off by Monday afternoon, but we can't rule out the possibility of a couple of lingering sprinkles even in the pre-sunrise hours of Tuesday morning. But Tuesday itself does look dry. Only a few hundredths of an inch of rain to maybe a little over a tenth of an inch of rain on the high side of things. It's not a lot, but considering average daily rainfall in the month of May is essentially 0, this is something that we're going to keep an eye on as we head through the rest of this weekend. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast, and we'll start at the coast where you're not going to see a lot of up and down to our daily temperatures over the course of the next 7 days. You'll notice fluctuating amounts of sunshine. That'll make it feel a little bit warmer, but only 4 degrees separating the coolest and warmest days over the course of the next 7 days. A little more variation Bayside. Temperatures are going to reach up into the mid-70s today on an average basis, but then low to mid-60s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday before we bounce back up to pretty much normal temperatures by Wednesday and Thursday. And farther inland, you have the wildest ride in store on the temperature roller coaster. After another day well into the 80s today, you're going to be a good 20 degrees cooler, maybe even more than that in some spots by Monday, with temperatures again not taking long to bounce back to near normal by the middle of next week.
Still to come, a 102-year-old war veteran turns TikTok influencer. Why Papa Jake is turning vets viral next. We're back. We close out our Saturday showcase with a veteran gone viral. The 102-year-old Jake Larson, who says he's the luckiest man in the world. Here's Len Ramirez with an introduction to the man who's stumbled into newfound fame, Papa Jake.
Hello there.
Hello. It's not every day that you get to meet an authentic American hero, but that's what happened when I walked into the Martinez home of 102-year-old Jake Larson.
I'm Papa Jake. Very nice to meet you. You have a very strong grip there.
Papa Jake calls himself a farm boy from Hope, Minnesota. He's not only one of the oldest living veterans of World War II, he's also a combat survivor of some of the most deadly battles of the war in Europe. And today his health is good and his memory sharp on this, the 80th anniversary of America's victory in Europe, a victory he helped to win.
What does VE Day mean to you?
Elation. And proud of what we'd done. So many of the guys didn't get to be proud. They were dead. A whole bunch of my friends, they're up there smiling now. They got there before me.
Papa Jake lied about his age to enter the National Guard when he was just 15. He was in 5th Corps and helped type out the plans for the storming of Omaha Beach, and then hit the beach himself, dodging machine gun fire and deadly landmines.
And every once in a while, one of these lines would be a puff of water would go up in the air. Somebody stepped on a mine.
His tour took him through 5 other major battles, including the Battle of the Bulge. He says he was just doing his duty.
I don't think we're any wiser than anybody else, or braver than anybody else. But we had a job to do. Hitler was ruining the world. And we were in the position to change his attitude.
Papa Jake returned to the U.S. after the war, got married to his sweetheart Lola, and started a family. He returned to France for the 75th anniversary of D-Day in 2019 and has returned every year since. And he recently became a TikTok sensation. His granddaughter, Michaela, set up his account, Story Time with Papa Jake, during the COVID lockdown, and he now has 1.2 million worldwide followers.
I turned out to be a natural storyteller.
Watch your hand.
Papa Jake says he survived D-Day and the other battles without a scratch, and he doesn't know why. He lost his beloved Lola 30 years ago and now lives with his children and grandchildren in a multi-family home that flies the American and French flags. He recently wrote a book, and the title may sum up his life.
The luckiest man in the world. That's me.
This is where he will live out the rest of his life. But unlike the saying, this old soldier is not going to just fade away. He returns to France next month for the 81st anniversary of the D-Day invasion.
We're lucky to be able to tell that story. That does it for us here at 7 o'clock. The news returns at 5 p.m. Streams all day on CBS News Bay Area. From all of us here, have a great Saturday.